You might already have a favorite Taylor Swift era, but when we compare all her albums side by side, does your opinion still hold up? Today, we're ranking Taylor's 10 studio albums, from country roots to Grammy-winning synth pop, to find out which one truly deserves the crown. Do you agree with the list? Or are you ready to defend your favorite in the comments? 10. Taylor Swift, 2006. It all started here. At just 16 years old, Taylor Swift released her self-titled debut, a country album that introduced the world to her uncanny ability to turn teenage emotions into universal anthems. With tracks like Tim McGraw, Teardrops on My Guitar, and Our Song, she quickly gained traction on country radio and built a loyal fan base. The production is stripped down, rooted in acoustic guitars and fiddles, and while the songwriting feels youthful, it already hints at the lyrical precision she'd later master. She wasn't redefining genres yet, but she was redefining what a teenage girl could do in Nashville. The album was certified 7x platinum in the US and spent over 275 weeks on the Billboard 200, a massive feat for a debut. Still, when placed next to her later, more daring and sonically ambitious projects, Taylor Swift feels more like a charming prologue than a defining chapter, a nostalgic debut, but far from her artistic peak. Number 9. Reputation, 2017. Her most polarizing album to date, Reputation marked a sharp left turn, sonically, visually, and thematically. After a year-long disappearance from the public eye and a media storm that painted her as the villain, Taylor re-emerged with a vengeance. Gone were the pastel colors and fairy tale metaphors. In their place, thunderous bass lines, glitchy synths, and biting lyrics aimed at her critics, the tabloids, and her public feuds. Tracks like Look What You Made Me Do and Ready For It were loud declarations of reinvention. But beneath the armor, there were glimpses of vulnerability. Delicate captured her softer side amid chaos, and Getaway Car became a fan favorite for its high-drama storytelling and Jack Antonoff's sleek production. Commercially, it was a juggernaut. 1.2 million copies sold in its first week in the US alone. Yet critically, the reception was divided. Some praised her boldness. Others felt the album prioritized image over emotional depth. It's fierce, cinematic, and experimental. But ultimately, Reputation feels more reactive than reflective. A vital chapter in her evolution, but not as emotionally cohesive or resonant as her strongest work. Chapter 8, Lover, 2019. Bright, romantic, and full of dreamy aesthetics, Lover was Taylor's return to color, literally and figuratively. After the darker, combative tone of Reputation, it was also her first album released under her new label deal, granting her full ownership of her masters moving forward. A major moment in her career, spanning 18 tracks, Lover is ambitious in scale and eclectic in sound, blending synth pop, indie, country, and even a touch of political commentary. Highlights like Cruel Summer, widely considered one of her best pop songs, and The Archer show her emotional range, while the title track Lover delivers pure, timeless romance. She also took creative risks. You Need to Calm Down sparked conversations around LGBTQ+ rights, and The Man questioned gender double standards in the industry. But with its length and tonal shifts, the album can feel uneven, as if it's trying to do too much at once, without the sharp narrative focus of her stronger efforts. Still, Lover radiates warmth and maturity, proving she didn't need a feud or a fallout to make great music. A charming, heartfelt project, but not as sonically cohesive or refined as the masterpieces that followed. 7. Speak Now, 2010. entirely written by Taylor herself. No co-writers, no collaborators. Speak Now stands as a bold artistic statement from a 20-year-old determined to prove her pen was sharper than ever, blending her country roots with sweeping pop-rock influences. The album showcases her ability to turn personal experiences into theatrical storytelling. Tracks like Back to December, Dear John, and Enchanted aren't just fan favorites. They're emotional time capsules, capturing heartbreak, regret, and fantasy with vivid detail. Even the upbeat songs, like Mean and The Story of Us, are layered with emotional undertones, showing how Taylor was maturing both lyrically and thematically. Critics praised the album's ambition and vulnerability, and it was a commercial hit, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with over 1 million copies sold in its first week. Still, the production, heavy on strings, dramatic builds, and long run times, occasionally overwhelms the rawness of her writing. It's a transitional album where she experiments with scale and intensity, learning how to balance polish with emotional clarity. Speak Now isn't her most cohesive or sonically focused work, but it's a pivotal moment in her evolution, proving she could carry an entire project, start to finish, with just her words. 6. Evermore, 2020, released just 5 months after Folklore. Evermore arrived as its surprise sister album, and instead of feeling like leftovers, it expanded the universe, where Folklore introduced Taylor's pivot into indie folk. Evermore doubled down on mood, melancholy, and narrative experimentation, with collaborations from Bon Iver, Haim, and The National's Aaron Dessner. The album feels like a quiet winter counterpart to its summery predecessor. The production is stripped back, with piano, acoustic guitars, and subtle electronic textures, giving space for Taylor's storytelling to breathe. Champagne Problems tells a heartbreaking tale of rejection and mistiming with literary elegance, while Tolerate It captures emotional neglect in a way that's almost painfully intimate. She also stretches her perspective, writing from imagined characters in No Body, No Crime, and Dorothea, proving she's just as strong a fiction writer as a diarist. Though Evermore didn't break as many records as her blockbuster pop releases, it was a critical darling, praised for its subtlety, maturity, and cohesion. It's not designed to dominate charts or arenas. It's built to linger, to unfold slowly, to reward patience. A quiet triumph in Taylor's discography, and proof that reinvention doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Plunger 5, Fearless, 2008, Taylor's version. This was the moment Taylor Swift stopped being a rising star and became a global phenomenon. Fearless took the emotional core of teenage experience and elevated it into something universal, with tracks like Love Story, You Belong With Me, and The Way I Loved You defining a generation of listeners. Blending country with radio-friendly pop hooks, the album struck a perfect balance between vulnerability and empowerment. And it worked. Fearless won Album of the Year at the 2010 Grammys, making Taylor the youngest winner at the time. But what truly cements its legacy is Taylor A.'s version. Her 2021 re-recording that not only reclaimed ownership of her masters, but brought a deeper sense of emotional clarity and vocal maturity to the original tracks. She also added 6 from the vault songs that had never been released, giving fans a more complete view of her mindset at the time. Tracks like Mr. Perfectly Fine and You All Over Me slotted in seamlessly, reminding us how prolific she already was as a teenage songwriter. With Taylor's version, Fearless became more than a nostalgic trip. It became a symbol of artistic control and resilience in an industry known for exploiting young talent. a defining album for Taylor, and a turning point for artist rights in modern music, a game changer then and now. Summer 4, 1989, 2014. 1989 was Taylor's official and unapologetic leap into pure pop, and it changed the game forever. Leaving behind her country roots, she embraced 80s-inspired synths, polished production, and infectious hooks that dominated the airwaves worldwide. Singles like Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Style weren't just hits. They became anthems, shaping pop culture with their clever lyrics and unforgettable melodies. The album's slick, meticulous production, led by Max Martin and Shellback, set a new standard for contemporary pop music, blending nostalgia with modern sensibilities. Beyond the sound, 1989 represented a bold rebranding. Taylor was no longer the girl-next-door singer-songwriter. She was a confident pop icon, commanding global attention. The album won Album of the Year at the Grammys, cementing her crossover success. But even with all its shine and polish, 1989 was just the beginning of a deeper creative evolution. There are still 3 albums ahead in this countdown that push her artistry even further, both sonically and lyrically. 3. Folklore 2020. Dropped unexpectedly in the early days of the global pandemic, Folklore stunned the world and showed a quieter, more introspective side of Taylor Swift. Co-produced primarily by Aaron Dessner of the National and longtime collaborator Jack Antonoff, the album marked a sharp departure from her previous pop anthems, diving headfirst into indie folk, alternative rock, and chamber pop. The production is delicate and atmospheric, giving Taylor's storytelling room to breathe and resonate. Folklore is a tapestry of rich narratives and vivid characters, blending fictional tales with deeply personal reflections. Songs like Exile, featuring Bon Iver, August, and My Tears Ricochet, revealed a maturity and emotional depth that surprised even her most devoted fans. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece, praising its lyricism, production, and overall cohesion. The album won Album of the Year at the 2021 Grammys. Taylor's third time taking home the honor, solidifying its place not only as a commercial success, but as a defining artistic statement. Folklore reshaped Taylor's creative legacy, proving she could reinvent herself and captivate audiences even in the quietest of times. It's a timeless work, layered with subtlety and heartbreak, and it set a new standard for storytelling in modern music. Chapter 2. Red 2012. Taylor's version. Red was always a fan favorite, but Taylor's version made it legendary. A fusion of country, pop, and alt-rock, and the 10-minute version of All Too Well cemented it as an emotional epic. It captures the heartbreak, chaos, and confusion of your early 20s better than almost any record. Raw, powerful, unforgettable. 1. Midnights, 2022. And at number 1, Midnights, more than just an album. It's a concept. 13 sleepless nights turned into music, with sleek production and cohesive storytelling. Midnights blends everything Taylor has learned: pop polish, lyrical depth, and emotional nuance. Anti-Hero and Bejeweled only scratch the surface. This is Taylor at her most confident, most self-aware, and most in control. Truly her best, so far. So, Swiftie, do you agree with our number 1 pick? Which Taylor album do you think is the most underrated? Drop your ranking in the comments. Hit that like button if you made it this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more Top 10 deep dives. See you in the next countdown.